Welcome to this overview of Nir Eyal's book, Indistractable, which is subtitled How to Control Your Attention and Choose Your Life. Nir believes that in future there will be two types of people: those who let their attention and lives be controlled by those who use their love of instant gratification to feed their bottom line, and those who proudly call themselves indistractable. Nir is honest that he used to be firmly in the first group, and this was ruining his relationship with his daughter, as he was often only half present as he dealt with things that seemed so important, even though he had made a commitment to be with her. And that at first he blamed technology for how he was behaving, so he tried a digital detox, but found that he missed the things he considered positive, such as being able to listen to audiobooks while he was walking. But he also found that although his alternative solutions seemed eminently sensible, he just found other ways to distract himself from the thing he should have been giving his full attention to. Nir shares that the first step then is realizing the first step towards being indistractable is that distraction starts from within us. This means the trigger may be internal, such as our stomach grumbling or feeling lonely, or external, such as feeling cold or someone talking to us, or even something that is in our environment like the television. But the issue is our response providing traction towards what we want? To overcome making choices that move us away from what we want, Nir sets out 4 steps to becoming indistractable: mastering internal triggers, preventing distraction with packs, making time for traction, and hacking back external triggers. Mastering internal triggers starts with considering what really motivates us. And no matter what we think, the root cause of choosing distraction is our desire to free ourselves from discomfort. Everything else is a proximate cause, which means the things we blame as the problem, such as junk food, social media, television, etc., are really the root cause. They are just the thing we are choosing to distract ourselves with from our discomfort. So what is causing our discomfort, and how is our distraction choice seemingly making us feel better? Although the uncomfortable truth is, distraction is always an unhealthy escape from reality. Mastering our internal triggers starts with accepting we are never going to be fully satisfied with our lives, and understanding the untutored mind does not like to be alone with itself. But the mind is also wired to ruminate on the very things that cause us discomfort. And that through trying to avoid something, when we finally give in, the relief is far more rewarding than if we had given in straight away, and therefore more habit forming. To start dealing with our discomfort, we can use acceptance and commitment therapy, which involves learning to notice and accept one's cravings and to handle them in a healthy way, rather than trying to suppress them. This involves firstly stepping back, which is stopping before acting. For example, stopping rather than automatically Googling what just popped into your mind. Second is noticing what happened just before this thought popped into your mind. For example, were you feeling anxious or incompetent as you had no idea how to move forward or didn't feel things were flowing, etc.? But the most important part of this step is to immediately write the distraction trigger down, along with the time of day, what you were doing, and how you felt. This is important, as although we generally find it easy to recognize external triggers, we have usually buried our internal triggers so deep we don't recognize them for what they are. The third part of acceptance and commitment therapy is observing, which means exploring your physical sensation. Do your fingers twitch when you're about to be distracted? Do you get butterflies in your stomach? And when does this happen? And stay with the sensation until it has gone through all its phases before acting on the distraction, and then letting the desire naturally disappear. A technique to help with this is to imagine you're sitting beside a gently flowing stream, watching leaves floating along with the current. And on each leaf is a thought from your mind. This might be a memory, a word, a worry, an image. It can be anything. But whatever they are, just watch them float by and float away. But if the distraction urge is still present after 10 minutes, follow through with it to stop it growing and the reward connection becoming stronger. However, research has shown that for most distractions, the urge will have passed. Acceptance and commitment therapy also acknowledges that we can't control the feelings and thoughts that pop into our heads, but we can control what we do with them. For example, reimagining the task can change how we feel about it, thus releasing our discomfort. Not in a Mary Poppins using fun to cover the drudgery sort of way, such as using rewards and treats, but to find new challenges that provide novelty to engage our attention and maintain our focus when tempted by distraction. Where this happens naturally, we tend to apply labels like car lover or crafter, etc. So, what will make you more curious about this task? What will spark the fun of doing it? With fun being looking for the variability in something other people don't notice. It's breaking through the boredom and monotony to discover its hidden beauty. Because play doesn't have to be fun, it just has to hold our attention. And the third technique for changing how we react to our internal triggers is to reimagine our capabilities, to take on board that our self-control is limitless, that it is only our stories and habits that make us believe that we have limited control. We are more likely to change our stories and habits when we are self-compassionate, which is talking to ourselves kindly when we have setbacks. Because as we're regularly told, people respond to encouragement rather than criticism, and too often our little voice is criticizing us. And self-compassion makes people more resilient to letdowns by breaking the vicious cycle of stress that often accompanies failure and makes obstacles just normal and allows you to know practice does make us better. Part 2 of becoming indistractable is making time for traction towards what you want. And to make it more likely that we will follow through, rather than writing a to-do list, write a why list, which is the outcome we expect to get from doing this task. And to do this, we need to truly understand our values because they are the guidelines of our actions across all areas of our life. And these areas come down to 3 domains: you, relationships, and work, whether it is paid or unpaid. Because to know something is distracting you means you have to know where your values are saying you should be. A technique for ensuring you meet your value commitments is time boxing. This technique aims to remove all white space from your calendar so you have a template of how you plan to spend your day, which means some boxes may be watching a video or reading a book, sleeping, etc. Because when we know what we plan to do and reflect on what is behind our distraction, we can start to identify strategies that will assist us to gain more traction. Therefore, the key is controlling the inputs rather than the outcomes. For example, if you wouldn't miss an appointment with your boss, why would you miss an appointment with yourself? Yes, we may not achieve what we want to achieve in that scheduled slot, but if we don't show up, we will definitely fail to gain any movement, let alone traction. And the same applies to other important relationships in our lives. So make sure you schedule time for yourself and your loved ones so neither you nor them end up with what is left after everything else has had a share of your time. Part 3 of the Indistractable model relates to hacking back our external triggers. And this starts with asking the critical question: is this trigger serving me? Because the more we respond to something, the more we are training our brain to respond to this. And when it comes to things like emails and group chat, break down the problem into a function of the number of messages received multiplied by the average time spent per message, and then focus on ways to reduce the time spent on the problem. Part 4 of the book relates to preventing distractions with PACS. This is a powerful technique called pre-commitment, which involves removing a future choice in order to overcome our impulsiveness. This is putting in place a plan to prevent the problem we can see on the horizon, the same as we do for other aspects of our life. However, this strategy is most effective when the first three phases of the Indistractable model have been implemented, because each action builds on the last to strengthen our focus. There are various forms of pre-commitment. One of these is an effort pact. This means to follow through with a distraction requires effort. An example Nir gives is a container with a timer you put your food treats in, so you cannot access them outside of a pre-programmed time. That means if you want one of these treats, you need to go to the shop to get some. For computer work, we can download apps which prevent us accessing selected programs for a specified amount of time, or use services like FocusMate. Yes, we may still choose to distract ourselves with something else, but again, it is going to take more effort than our usual go-to distractions and builds in a pause point for us to reconsider, do we really want to distract ourselves? Another type of pact that works with internal triggers is a price pact. This is committing to paying an agreed sum if you fail to stick to what you have said you will do. This can be with someone else or with yourself. For example, when Nir committed himself to exercising, he taped $100 in a lighter to the calendar and gave himself two choices: go to the gym and exercise, or burn the $100 bill. And for him, burning $100 was the harder thing to do, so he went to the gym and he exercised. Another way is to change how you describe yourself to change how you see yourself. This is known as an identity pact, making what you want to achieve a part of who you see yourself as being. This can be things like saying, I don't eat chocolate, rather than saying, I can't eat chocolate. In addition to language, an identity pact can include the rituals that belong to someone with this identity, because the more congruent you become with behaving this way, the more normal it will be for you to be this way, making the I don't your total truth. Part 5 of this book relates to how you can make your workplace indistractable. It isn't that the previously covered solutions don't apply, it is just that the workplace culture adds another layer of why we are choosing to distract ourselves. And that is dependent on how much we feel the need to escape from what we cannot control. The solution here requires management to be prepared to create a psychologically safe environment that enables employees to discuss the real issues without fear of harming their careers. Part 6 of the book relates to raising indistractable children, which is based on understanding their internal triggers and making the conversation about people rather than tech, and then moving on to the external triggers and their choice of packs. The final part of the book relates to indistractable relationships, with a focus on how others' behaviour influences our own. This is a very readable book, filled with stories and examples, as well as the research that supports Nir's conclusions and recommendations. It also includes additional things to be aware of and why, as well as ideas for how you can address the problem and make the most of your scheduled time for things like your children, friends, and work. This book also enables us to realize we have the ability to adapt to the threats to our Achilles heel that lead to our struggles with distraction, so we can retrain and regain our brains, which makes this a great book for anyone wanting to overcome their distraction habits. Thank you for viewing this video. Please like, subscribe, and click on the bell if you wish to be notified when more book overviews are uploaded.